I need to say it's being recorded. Yes, that's fine. Well, how's everyone today? We're right on time and just getting started and gonna have some fun. And again, we have a replay audience. So some of you are watching this as a replay. I'm not sure I've ever done a webinar from this location. I've done it from a lot, but I know I've never done one from this um, physical location where I am. And I've not done one from this geographic location. And hi, Alicia. She says hi to everyone. And she's in Burlington, Vermont today. You travel around as much as me. Somebody gave you a thumbs up. That's cool. I am geographically in the Uinta Mountains, just north about 35 miles from Evanston, Wyoming. So Mark, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my whereabouts, and then
Right.
you open Google Maps or whatever, find the Uinta Mountains, and then put that on the screen. And then the direct specific location is in my RV. My webcam is mounted on the top of my laptop right up there where I'm pointing at. And my microphone is next to me. I am on my bed because the lighting is not good at all. Hey, Hans. Um, the lighting's not good at all on my other end of my RV where I have a table and nice seating. And I was going to do it from there, but every time I just couldn't get the lighting right. It's actually really bright. It is a beautiful day in this part of the world here in the Uintas. Mark's gonna take the screen when he can here and show you where that location is. I'll have him zoom in and out to show. And you can even maybe do a Google search, Mark, for Uinta Mountains and show
Yeah.
what it looks like here.
Yeah, I've got uh like pictures of
That's one of
winter.
the peaks. That's what I'm looking at. That
Yeah.
looks like one of the valleys. Expand those, Marks, so they're getting the whole. Well,
Okay.
there's the map.
Right. I can go back to the images.
Yeah.
So here's one. So I will blow it up a little bit.
Everybody, it's flat out beautiful here. I mean, that's more snow than we have, and probably a spring view. Um, there's the mountain range, the Uintas. I'm down a little lower. I'm at 8,800 feet. I think the elevation there is considerably higher. Mark there, that's a map that shows how you get here from various places. Um,
So from Utah, right? Salt Lake City
yeah,
is close by. Yeah.
yeah. So, oh, okay. So there's the Great Salt Lake over on the left, and it shows one of the roads that is there in the middle that shows you can get here. Um, Evanston, Wyoming is on Interstate 80. You drive a really beautiful road up a valley where you see a lot of those views that you saw in earlier pictures. Um, and then you go on a gravel road for longer than I wanted to be on it. It is very rough pulling a trailer or even without a trailer. And it is about 3.5 miles back into the wilderness. We are camped off grid in a compound 100 yards around where there are about 20 of us that are camping, all off grid. I have a Starlink internet system that everybody in the area is using to be able to get their internet. And the only time that that is on is when I turn my generator on. And Mark, go back to some of those images now.
Okay, we
There's
go
gonna be
back.
more. Don't use that. Just do a Google search. Just search Uinta Mountains and then click on images. And Uinta is spelled Unitah. Maybe I spelled it Uintah. I'm sorry. You
Right,
had
I
it,
got,
that first one, Uintah.
yeah.
What's that big mountain? I wonder what the name of that one is. That one we can see from right out of our camp. What's
Um,
that big mountain? This one on the right, far right on second row there.
okay.
Is there a name of it?
Let's see. It's loading. So, okay. So this is actually travel, I think travel guide or they want you to
Oh, yeah.
download.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is some image that they're selling. But
Yeah.
anyhow,
Anyway, it's beautiful here, everybody. It
right.
also is incredibly cool. This is the hottest day since I got here, and I got here a week ago today. I did the webinar last week. Where do you remember?
Yeah.
Let's test your knowledge for our attendees. Tell me where I was at when I did it last week. I even walked around.
Mhm.
Looking in the chat. Is Great Salt Lake drying up? Yes, it's still losing some. It's not drying up very quickly, Alicia. Um, it's losing. You know what? I'm not going to venture the guess. Look at those images in the background there. That's gorgeous. Um, those are all what the Uintas look like, and it's Forest Service. Anyway, I was in Evanston, Wyoming. Nobody's answered it here. Last week when I did the webinar in the parking lot, that looks just like some of the ponds that are around. Those are water lilies on the edges of it, of whatever that particular pond is. Anyway, this is the hottest day of the week, and it's about 78. Everywhere around here is setting records for the high temperatures today. In Colorado, in Utah, in Wyoming, in Nevada, in Colorado, excuse me, in Idaho, probably Montana, ridiculously hot. Boise set a record earlier this week. That's again one of the lakes that's up here. Boise set a record of 9 days in a row over 100 degrees. But what's making it even worse are the fires. And there are fires just everywhere. And Mark, let me take the screen. So I'm going to go to share.
So you don't see the black box anymore, right? That was happening last time.
The black.
Yeah, it was like part of the screen was covered. So
Oh,
it's
no, no,
it's not happening today.
don't know. I'm going to use my entire screen and share. And does it blur a black box today?
Oh, it's fine.
All right. Do you see my full screen says Zoom in the middle of it now? Is that what you guys are seeing?
Yes.
All right.
So
I'm going to do
Zoom.
a search for um, Lions, Colorado fire. This is called the Stone Canyon fire. It is within a mile of where I used to live. And there's a map here that'll show evacuations. These are all 2 days ago. This is, here's one from the 31st. Says it's fully contained. That means that they've got it under control finally. Anyway, it got very close to where I lived forever for 17 years in Colorado, and have many, many friends who had to evacuate. The neighborhood I lived in did not have to evacuate. I would not have yet had to evacuate. The smoke was unbelievable. Let me show some images here. There it is from out in the prairie. Here it is from an aerial view. There's where the evacuation. Yeah, I'm going to blow that one up. Here's the evacuation area. That's Carter Lake. You've heard me talk about. I lived about right there where I've got the cursor. Let's blow this up. It makes you, wants me to sign in or buy their service, which I'm not going to do. Clicking continue. Don't do this. All right, I'm going to bail from that. It's not doing what I want it to do. So, but anyway, very close, but it was moving this way. So this red is all the evacuation level area, and I live about right here. And this is Meadow Hollow Creek. You can see that if we blew this picture up, which we can't do without it wanting. So here's a bunch of other images of firefighters. Here's what's kind of interesting. If you remember, I've done a lot of webinars about our ponds. Here is either a plane or a helicopter. It looks like a helicopter dropping. It's actually probably a plane. Smoke retardant to stop that fire. When it first started, and I'm going to see if we can find an image of it, they were taking water with helicopters out of our pond. And some friends of ours sent pictures. Is it called the Stone Canyon Fire? Yeah. Fire, helicopter, water, drop images. Let's see if there happens to be some of our pond. These are more generic. I don't think these are, there's what it looks like when they drop it. They take this and they go down, they fill this up with water out of a water source. And then here it is going from the helicopter to the ground. Was hoping we'd see at least one of them scooping it up. Well, you can see it looks like that. These helicopters are a little unique looking, and they carry those portable buckets underneath them. Anyway, if I was still in Colorado, there are 2 fires going on. I'm going to back up a screen. To that one of the evacuation area. Because this is the evacuation area for the Stone Canyon fire. There's another fire called the Anderson Mountain Fire up here where I'm circling. And there's an evacuation area for that fire that goes way back here and out here towards the plains, the prairies, which are out this way, and Loveland, Colorado. So It's horrid out there. If we were still living where we used to, we wouldn't have evacuated, but the smoke would be just ridiculous where we lived there. So very fortunate that we're not there, and it's beautiful. And if I can't with this using this camera. Last week I did it from my I did it from my iPad or my iPhone last week, Mark. I think I did it right from my iPhone.
Right, it was your iPad.
My iPad, yeah. I thought I was
Yeah,
trying. And with both those devices, you don't get the full benefit of Zoom. Zoom is really meant to be used using their own app on a PC. I have apps for Zoom on both my iPad and my Apple phone, but you could see that there were things in the way of the image. There were all kinds of just not good situations from that last week. So we're going to stop here, go to the chat, see if there's any questions. Oh, any thoughts about the future of world food supplies from Alicia? Um, we always should be concerned about food, and certain food types are um, produced inappropriately. I feel strongly about that, and that would be a lot of our row crops in the United States and in Europe and in Asia. Um, they're grown using industrial farming techniques that use pesticides and herbicides and create food that is completely unhealthy to eat. That was something I thought might happen, which is I moved my camera a little bit here. Sorry about that. Um, am I worried about us running out of food? No, I'm not. If you drove through where I was at yesterday in Wyoming, where for 4 hours I didn't see hardly any people or anything other than vegetation and some animals, very few, you realize that you could grow food of certain types there, or you could forage. I've said this before. If you know the right techniques, you can live in a major city on the streets, be homeless, and forage to live and get all caloric needs, carbohydrate needs, protein needs, nutritional needs that you have. Homeless people that are starving, which they are, don't know how to forage. They haven't been taught, they wouldn't care, it wouldn't work for them. Let's go back to the screen, Mark, and I'm going to share some more a little bit later, but let's go back. Can you, or do I have to stop the share? I do, I guess. I did. Okay. So no, Alicia, I'm not worried about the future of world food supplies. Even if we grow dramatically in population, we'll figure out how to feed ourselves. Will we do it right? No, I'm real worried about that. I think we aren't seeing an end to industrial food production at all. And I don't think we will in the near future, in the next hundreds of years. I wish we were, but we're not. And that's terrible. But are we going to have enough food worldwide? Yes. Even in very small local areas. In Africa, the reason people are starving again is that no one has taught them how to forage, how to eat, to live off the land. Where I lived, where those photos up here in this mountains, if I couldn't live by carving rocks into arrowheads, using branches to be arrows, using any number of different kinds of elastic fibers to be the strings on a bow, using the wood to be a bow, creating snares for traps. I'm not, I'm just doing something wrong. So I'm not worried. Are there going to be people continuing to starve? Yes, because those people don't know how to be fed. Much more worried about water. And water, only there's 1 billion people on the planet that don't have clean water. Dirty water is the biggest worry I have. Alicia gives a bunch of different thoughts about foraging here, which is great. There's all kinds of really good books, and we've got a series of webinars. I walked around in all 4 seasons with my brain's going dead. Mark, who was our speaker? Why am I not thinking of her name?
Oh, it's okay. So yeah, Catherine or something. I'm not. I think.
Look it up. Look on you've got the
Okay.
quickly
Yeah, I'll
while
look
I'm
it up.
it'll come to me real quickly here. By the way,
Right.
I'm at, like I said, almost 9,000 feet. I have learned a lot more recently about altitude effects. And one of them is you get more forgetful. Well, I have gotten more forgetful as I've aged anyway, and you get euphoric. In other words, you get false feeling of, or you get a false probably isn't the right word, but you get a feeling of being carefree, happy, without any good reason. Or although I don't know why you can't be happy all the time, but altitude affects humans that way until they're acclimated. But once you get acclimated, that's not an issue. But I went from 2,400 feet to 8,800 feet in 6 hours driving last week. So maybe those feelings are getting reduced now that I've been here for a week. But anyway, it's another topic. All right. Any other comments and questions before I move on to some topics that I want to continue to cover, which is using AI and specifically ChatGPT, although there's other excellent AI sources that you could use. I just am happy for these demonstrations to use ChatGPT. I'm going to go to do that. Mark, keep looking for questions. I'm going to close my chat window here. I'm also going to close my participant window. Start sharing again. Share the whole screen. Get rid of. I already have a page open for ChatGPT. So this is a search that I started several days ago. And it is for either closed or planning to be closed paper mills in the United States. Because, as I've told you in the last several weeks, one of the things I'd like help from all of you with, and there's money to be made if you can do it. There's an agreement that I'll make with you, so you'll feel comfortable with it. And you will be able to profit for helping my new company that I'm now a partner with. I'm going to put the name of that company on a website here.
Okay, so the foraging webinar was with Kate Armstrong.
Kate Armstrong. Yep.
Yeah,
Good. Well, and it's not just one. And Kate, um, and we've talked about putting together a course, and we're going to do this, but
yep.
Kate came out in all 4 seasons, including winter, to my ranch in the dead of winter. Now, there wasn't a huge covering of snow everywhere, but assuming you could get to the ground, which when we did this in winter, you could still feed yourself year round and get all your nutritional needs. I'm looking for, there it is, the website for industrial commercial properties. This is a homepage. There's a scrolling, and this shows inside and outside of a number of different sites. We have, over the last 30 years, worked on over 150 properties, 46 million square feet of space, 325 or more tenants, and this is way low. We have a lot more than 1,100 developable acres still. But here's a bunch of images of some of the sites. These are what they look like now. I'll show some before and after pictures in just a second. Some things in the news, but this is just the website. So let me show a couple of success stories. Here is the former Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company headquarters in Akron, Ohio. And here's the way it looks today. I don't see any of the older pictures of it here. Over 1,000 jobs were created. Let's go to the photo gallery. Look at how gorgeous the big building here. There's a combination of the new and the old. That's a bank. It's a historic building. It's going to stay there. This is an older building that is not fully redeveloped, but some of it is. The first 2 stories are. This is the headquarter buildings over here. I'm hoping we get some old pictures here. We're not yet. No, that's just going back and cycling through new ones. Let's escape this. Escape it. Here's a portfolio one. Here's one that I'm working on right now. This is an old World War II vintage manufacturing plant. that is now an expo center, which means it's an event center. Big parking lot out this way, and this is where you go into different events. The National Alpaca Show was there. Very first year I ever went to it, so it probably would have been 2008. Here's a map that shows its location. Most of the changes in this one are on the inside, but there's also quite a bit of outside also. All right, so that's what we're doing. There are these kinds of sites everywhere. However, sometimes they'll sit for years because everybody thinks, well, everybody must know about this, so they must be doing something about it. Now, that's not always the case. So help us, find sites for us. And don't worry about doing it overnight, but we'll teach you some tools and ways in which you can do these searches, but one of them is AI. And so I was looking at paper mills, and I had just asked it to give me a bunch of information. So now I'm going to say, please create I'm touching the microphone. Please create a spreadsheet for me that can be used as a Google Sheet of all the paper mill sites we have been have to scroll up here. I may have to. The share portion of the screen is in my way. How do I minimize this, Mark? Oh, I just moved it. That worked. We have been discussing. This may be garbage in and garbage out, meaning I may need to be a little more specific in the way I do this. Let's see if it works. So it gives the mill name, address, phone number for contact, website URL, person. And it's fine, but I'm going to have it do some other things. Telling it to include columns for the owner name or names. State, closure, date, if closed, and planned closure date, if not yet closed. You don't have to think of everything at first. You can make changes with time. So now it's given the mill name, the owner, the address, the phone number. So it added some things.
Wayne, if you would scroll down your screen a little bit because we're not seeing your what you're doing right now. So we're seeing the top of the screen, like where it was your first prompt was. So you might need to like pull it down a little bit.
Got it pulled down as much as I can. Let me stop
Okay.
sharing. Well, let me just, you know what? It doesn't think it's sharing anymore. It's actually
Oh,
not.
okay.
It's for some reason stopped.
Oh, okay.
Your screen sharing is paused. I don't know how you unpause it. I'm going to stop sharing and let's try it again. Share the whole screen.
Okay.
You see it now?
Yes, yes, it's working now. Yes.
And again, what it did for me is gave me a spreadsheet that gives names of the mills, the owners, address, phone number, website URL, contact person, closure date, and it's not closed. And then if it's planned, which it's not supposed to. So here's where it's doing again what we call, what did we call it? Hallucination. Because it's not, earlier on here, it told us that all of these are going to be closed or they're already closed. Now it's telling me none of them are closed. Here it said closed, but no date. So I'm not going to do this right here. It's easier for me to be able to think about this, make sure I don't give it a bunch of garbage in and a garbage out, but we're going to go back to it. But let's start a new chat and let's pick something that you guys are interested in. Pick an asset type. Somebody out in the audience. Um, There's a question about warm season, cool season legumes. Any thoughts? Well, no, I don't think about them all the time. That's not something high on my thought process. But, and I don't even know what you mean by the question. Be a little more specific, Alicia. But honestly, that's not something that is high on my thought process. Not to say that it could be, but guys, give a asset type, and I'll begin to do a um, chat GPT session just to get all kinds of really great information about it. Give me a one, by the way, everybody that's hearing me. All right.
How about movie theaters?
That's a good one. That's a really good one, Mark. Um, let's do that. So we're going to do a news chat. And I'm going to say, please give me the names. It's better to be very specific of 10 multi-screen. You don't want one screen movie theaters because they're not big enough to convert. I'm going to say 5 to 7 years, 5 to 10. Started with 10. There's a lot more than 10. So here's 10. Like Regal Cinema just says several locations in New York. It's starting by the names of the theaters. And then it says, the locations. Be more specific. I say you can list as many as 50. All right, and this one even gave me the dates. There's AMC Theaters, The Grove, LA, closed in 2020. Regal Theater, Ewok, closed in 2020. Whole bunch of them closed in 2020. There's some 2021, 2021, 2020, 2021, 2020, 2021. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, look at all these. It's giving me 50. I said it could give up to 50. Please create a spreadsheet with this information that I can turn into a Google sheet to share. All right, it's doing the spreadsheet, Grove, Ewok, blah, blah, blah. Give the closing date. I lose a part of my screen. Yep, it does. Close the closing date. Can you give me $50 more? I think there's a lot of these. This list. Giving more. Mark, you keep looking at the chat and see if there's new questions.
Sure.
All right, now we're going to ask it of this list of 100 closed theaters, how many give me another column giving telling if they are currently vacant or occupied or a different use. So it should add a column. Did. It says vacant, vacant, vacant so far at the top. Vacant, 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 vacant. Vacant, vacant. I don't see any yet that are not still vacant. You can also hit continue generating because it looks like it stopped. It didn't continue, it wasn't finished. Probably should have done that up on the question before, but it's getting me all the info. Every one of them are still vacant. Gave the very last one in the UK. Okay. Give me another column. Asking for the current owner. It's not putting very many of them. It doesn't know many of them. Now here's, I think it's hallucinating. If I ask, I think for any one of these individually, it'd tell me. So let's pick one here, Valley View, Ohio. Wow, this one had 24 theaters. In Valley View, Ohio. Please give me I'm making it more simple here. Currently owned by the K&D Group. Real estate management. And my guess is this is part of a mall. And the whole mall closed in. Leave the address. Here. Give me the citations of as many news articles you can find describing this closure. Cleveland.com, Fox 8, The Plain Dealer, Cleveland Jewish News. So let's look one of those up. I'm not asking for the URLs. I'm afraid this is just going to give me cleveland.com. I'm going to try it. It's not giving me an option to,
It's not clickable, right?
yeah, it's not clickable.
Something went
This is
wrong.
just another one that I have to work on. I'll be able to find, here's the title. I mean, I could put
Yeah.
this in. I'm not going to do this right now.
Yeah, put it in the browser and copy
Well, I
paste.
could put it, I could go into just a Google search now. You try
Right.
to do a Google search like this though, and it gives you a bunch of garbage. That's why this is such a much better approach using
uh,
Chat GPT.
right. So you
Let's see
get much.
if Cleveland Jewish News is clickable. It doesn't look like it. No, it's not. It's not clickable. Let's just try it. Can you please make these more clickable? It's to some extent, I'm probably garbage ending it. Garbage. Oh, here we go. Read the article. Ah, open in reading. Let's
Yeah, that might work.
see. It's doing the chat history. I don't think that's what I wanted. No, it's not. Yeah, it's still not clickable. But there's plenty of information here to get it. See, Regal looked like it was closing just a ton of them, as you can see it. And this is during the pandemic. Again, why not? What a great timing. People couldn't go out. You wouldn't be afford to keep one of these things open for all that time. Now, what could let's see this. What uses could these closed multi-screen theaters be developed for by new owners? Retail space, yes. Big box stores, office space, corporate offices, event venues. These are high clear, little high clear height. Clear means how tall they are. Fairly wide, if you've been to a theater at all lately. Housing, I actually think that's a great idea. Fitness and recreation, yes. What do you see? What do you think of as one problem with them? What is there about a theater that you've been to lately?
One problem is the changing. One thing I see is that they're changing their seats, like the way it used to be before. Now they're bigger.
Well, no, no. You're redeveloping one. You're getting it partially right, Mark. But
Yeah.
let's say it's a theater you recently went to, it just closed. Tell me if you're going to redevelop it into any of these uses: entertainment complex, a medical facility, housing, corporate offices, retail space. Okay. What
Mhm.
what is one thing about a theater that as a redevelop, you'd have to change?
The gallery, like the gallery, I think.
The
Sitting place.
seating is not flat, it's up in the
Yeah.
air. Every row is higher than the one below it because that's
Right.
you can see the screen. The
Yes.
screen's down at a floor level and there are seats right in front of it. And every row, usually
Is
there's several
higher.
rows right in front that aren't higher than the one in front. Those are
Yes.
bad seats because you can't even see it. But then they go up. But that's probably built off the ground. So that probably isn't that hard to do.
Mhm.
We could do a search about that. I'm not going to do that. We're getting very close to top of the hour here. Maybe I'll just do how would you get rid of the seating in the theaters if you redevelop into housing? I'm just going to use that one example. I think you'd do it the same way for any. Survey the space, inspect the theater. So it says it can be a significant step, a task, obtain permits, be safe, remove the seats from just unbolt them, get rid of them, floor and wall, damage to the floor. See, I think the floor is fake. See, I think this is where it's getting,
Oh, okay.
you got to get rid of that floor. Reconfigure in the housing design. This maybe involve partitions, plumbing, electrical, those, that's true. But I think the
Yeah.
first change is the floor. Um,
Yeah. And maybe the walls also because they use a lot of sound uh, protective stuff.
yeah, yeah. That wouldn't be so bad. Wouldn't you like
Yeah.
it if you didn't hear anything from your neighbors? So if, let's say, a 124 theater space was turned into one house, wouldn't it be nice if you didn't hear the one that was next to you, right? That would,
Right. Yeah, that would be good. Yes. You don't hear the city noise or anything.
right. And the cool thing is it could be multi-story because they're so high up to the highest seats.
Yep. Yeah, that could be good. Yes.
I mean, you go into a theater in this country, maybe not there, Mark, but usually you go in on a ground floor and then you walk, you go through a gated area where they check your ticket, and
Mhm.
then you walk to one of the 24 theaters and you've never changed level. Then
Mhm.
you, the main floor level is usually about the middle height. And there's a ramp that goes
Yes.
up to the seats above, and there's maybe a ramp to those below. Or, more and more, you come in at the bottom and you climb upstairs to get to all the seats.
Yep.
That's probably more likely, which means all of that is above ground. So you just have to take all that down and then add flooring.
Right. It's going to be a very high room if it's just one room.
Yeah, how many square feet is surface area of a typical closed field? Yeah, 40, see, they're telling 6 to 12 screens, 40 to 80,000. That's all of it. I've got to do better. I have a little bit of garbage in, garbage out. But here, the lobby, it breaks it down. Each green room is 2 to 5,000 square feet. Wow. 2,000 is a house, right, Mark? 5,000 would be a big
Yeah.
house.
Right.
If you had multiple stories, that's the footprint is the 2,000.
Yep. That's a big one.
This big 24, which I think that's a big one, says 150 to 250,000 square feet.
Mhm.
That's probably with lobby space and stairways and all that, that's
Right.
probably 70 housing units.
Yeah.
I have one of those vacant theaters. It's a 12, not a 24, 2 miles from my house.
Oh,
And I think it's been sitting there vacant for at least since the pandemic. So probably 2020, 4 or
okay.
5 years, 4 years.
Right. 5 years.
Yeah. I'm not going to put that other search term in right now. We are at the top of the hour. This has been a lot of fun. Did I miss any questions, Mark?
Yeah, there are some questions. So here's one. Year-round foraging. Some
Yeah,
uh
oh, that's good. She's put some
again.
great thoughts.
So any thoughts for
Yeah, we've
not
talked about
seeds?
OpenAI and
Yeah.
proprietary versus not before. So we'll get back.
Mhm. Copyright issues.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Food future. Thank you, Alicia. We appreciate that. We'll talk. Thank you for the link. She said goodbye. Adios, everybody. Watch the
Bye.
replay tomorrow.